Start recording. Sports Jargon Podcast. Am Stone. Crack of the can, Stone Cold.
What?
Except that we're pumpkin now.
Yeah,
Brett.
Ralph over here's got his Stone Cold still. He's Ralph Lauren because he's dropping suits everywhere.
He's just dropping them everywhere.
I thought you'd like that one.
I do like that one. Another week at sports. We're going to start. Yours are Lamar Jackson because that was last week. That was the day after our podcast.
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll jump into open a day after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Oh God.
Lamar Jackson.
I forgot what I was drinking, and it hit me really weird.
Pumpkin seltzer.
It hit me really weird. I wasn't ready for that.
Lamar Jackson, your boy. I'll say he's your boy. It's fine.
I'll back him.
We'll back him. Demands a trade.
Yep.
Since last we spoke. Done with the Ravens, says they're not interested. They're not interested in playing ball.
It said March 2nd he demanded a trade, and then it was, a week ago where they were like,
He put it on Twitter, right?
Yeah. And now it's like, now he actually wants a trade. It's like, wait, I don't know how that works, but I might just be dumb, so fine.
Yeah, and it's, I don't really know. At this point, it's going to be after the draft, right? Because we've kind of accepted that it's going to be after the draft.
Well, because anybody who is still kind of in contention doesn't have picks to do so.
Right. The only real team...
We've talked about that a bunch, so...
The only real team that I think would have a shot at this point is the Indianapolis Colts before the draft.
Yes. But there's no way they're giving up the number one.
Number 4, whatever.
Oh, sorry, never mind. I forgot Panthers were number 1.
Also... in this. I figured. Go ahead.
Wild take I saw on the internet today. Arthur Blank talking down Lamar Jackson, saying that he's not, that he doesn't know about his style of play and longevity and things like that. Do we want to know who was involved in drafting Michael Vick?
Arthur Blank?
Yeah. I'm just saying, that's a wild take I saw that maybe he's doing this all as a ploy to then go after Lamar Jackson.
I don't know. So, I don't know if you saw that earlier today, Asante Samuel tells Lamar Jackson he doesn't want to go to New England, because New England kind of popped up a little bit.
I didn't know who it was that said that, but that makes sense, actually.
When he first, so it was last Thursday, last Friday, whatever day it was, he demands his trade. The Vikings popped up as the top team that potentially
they like giving quarterbacks guaranteed money, so
right. And I mean, there's a lot that goes into it because Kirk Cousins' cap number this year is $20 million. It's all guaranteed, but whatever. Do you buy them as a fit? Because they'd have to make a lot of things work.
They don't have anywhere near the cap space, do they? Even with getting rid of Kirk.
Yeah. Well, I mean. It depends. Again, it all comes down to what is Lamar Jackson willing to accept. I saw a wild take. I heard it. I actually don't like the guy. I'm trying to think of who he is. He's the ESPN guy. That'll come to me. I'll look it up.
Okay. I was going to say guys you don't like. I just assume Colin Cowherd. Sorry.
I do hate Colin Cowherd. I can't
stand him either.
do you know he's like him, Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless? They're all kind of the same. They kind of like hide behind the fact that they went to college and they're like, oh, we did this, we paid our dues, whatever. That doesn't make you good. That just means you've been in it a long time, which is whatever. But the take that he had was the Bengals should jump ahead and give Joe Burrow a fully guaranteed contract.
Right now.
Oh, yeah. And completely put the nail in the coffin on Lamar Jackson to get him out of the division. But I mean...
because for the players' sake, they should hold off because Lamar Jackson, somebody's got to fucking pay that. Right? Somebody's gotta. Daniel Jones just made $40 million a year. Understand it wasn't fully guaranteed, but still. Lamar can't take less than 40. There's no way.
He can't. He cannot take
no
less than. I mean, I saw anywhere that Joe Burrow was, if things transgress how they should, he should be getting 6 years, $300 million roughly is where he would be at, which is probably accurate. I mean, Mahomes got 10 450, but
was not fully guaranteed.
Right.
He was only guaranteed like what, 250?
Right, but I mean, at this point, like, Lamar Jackson, what are you doing? I think this is a desperate attempt because he can negotiate with anybody. He hasn't negotiated, like, or nobody has come close to what he wants. We've heard Washington, we've heard New England, we've heard Indian, but everybody keeps coming out and saying like, hey, we're just really not that interested in him, whether it be longevity, whether it be whatever, but I don't know what the solution is, but it definitely sounds like he's done as a Raven, right? Like, that's, I think at this point,
I think he sits.
I mean,
if nobody does anything,
I just don't really know what options he has, because if you'd want fully guaranteed, no one's going to pay you fully guaranteed money, and you look for a trade, you've asked for a trade, you've talked to other teams, and nobody wants to give you this money, and you're like, yeah, now trade me. You have to trade him for 2 first because he's the transition tag. And you look at the teams that can kind of make it work for cap numbers, and I mean, I just don't know. Like, if you're Detroit, do you give it up? Like, I don't see it. I mean, Green Bay could be, but like, you just put all your eggs in the Jordan Love basket.
Yeah, no, there's no shot. I would listen. Falcons, I would love Colts. If the Packers were to do that at this point. If they're shipping Rodgers off, which I mean, we know how I feel about that. But if they're shipping Rodgers off, Jordan Love's gonna fucking stink. I'm sorry, he's not gonna be.
But I mean, you have to go for it. Like, you have to. But but then now I think about it where should the Saints have just waited after the draft? See, this is why I like to bash teams that jump the gun and get their guy, and they're like not bidding against anybody. Like,
I was.
Who are
baffled by that?
Who
honestly,
are you bidding against for Derek Carr? Like, the Jets.
The Jets are fully entrenched in.
Were the Jets going to give that much money? Like, I just don't understand. And now it's like all the stuff comes out, and so I don't know what happens with Lamar Jackson. I don't know if he plays football next year.
He might not, which would be wild.
Because then what? Well, then what do you do? You try to trade him after the season, like. I don't know.
I don't see him playing for the Ravens. I don't. Like, even if he gets whatever contract, I don't know.
I think at this point you're post draft. I think it's going to be a team. I don't want to say out of nowhere, but I think it's going to be a team. If he plays this year, Titans come to mind, where maybe you get him for pennies on the dollar. You pay him your money. I mean, you're clearing all of this room. Hey, take Tannehill, whatever. Same thing, Minnesota. I hate to say it, but I could see Minnesota doing a Kirk swap for Lamar Jackson and 2 firsts. Does Miami make a run at him? I mean, you just picked up 2 as 50-year options, so you kind of just price yourself out of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Commanders look like they would be the team, but it looks like they're
so entrenched in Sam Howell, which is absurd to me.
My only thing that I can think of is they're hoping they're bad this year, right? For Drake Drake May or Caleb Williams, USC.
Yeah.
Those are the top 2 guys. But, like, you start looking through.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, maybe
it's looking rough.
Right? Like, I just don't know what they're going to do.
It's looking real rough.
I don't know what their choices are, but there's really, like I said, you kind of look through and there's not a whole lot of teams that make sense.
No.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, at the end of the day...
He's sticking to his guns, too.
He's sticking to his guns. I mean, again, like, I thought, like, Detroit, but, I mean, they sound like they're pretty happy with Goff, and, I mean, they had a pretty good offense. They stumbled a little bit in the middle, but they started off hot number 1 offense for...
Finished hot.
Then they finished hot. Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely... And then now we have... The only thing, maybe the Colts make a midnight deal... At the end of the day, we'll give you number 4, give our first next year, give us Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Do they do it at the end of the day, and then the Ravens pick up Richardson, and it's like, hey, here's our new Lamar Jackson, we just don't want to pay him? I don't know.
Yeah. It'll be something, though.
It's going to be interesting.
It's wild to me, though, that the team that was willing to give the guy a shot is now just not going to pay him anything close to what he should be getting.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I mean, it's just, we could blame the Browns.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're the first people to blame.
They're the first people to blame where they did that, but I mean, Baltimore, with everything you've built has been built around Lamar Jackson, and you're kind of just...
You either need Lamar Jackson or a Lamar Jackson Jr.
Right, yeah.
That's all you have over there.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, unless a midnight deal strikes with...
Can't wait for Stenson Bennett to be on the fucking Ravens.
Maybe. I don't know. It's gonna be, like I said, I don't... And then, I don't know. I don't like him tweeting all this stuff where he's like, oh, man, tweeting fans. I was like, where were the doubters when I was there week 1 through 12? But we all know what it's about. It was he got hurt towards the end of the season, running around, and that's then you can't run, so you can't play.
Yeah.
And that's at the end of the day, where Arthur Blank comes out and says, hey, I don't trust this guy's longevity to give him that much money in that many years. So. Yeah. Whether it's true, whether it's not true, whether you're trying to save a buck, I don't know. But the Lamar Jackson is the new interesting case because we're about a month away from the draft.
Yeah.
All the pro days have happened. Richardson's was today, and he was an athletic freak, as we all knew. He could throw the ball 6,000 yards. But I mean, still, it's a 52 completion percentage. What are we doing?
Yeah. I think I could complete that many passes.
I mean, it's a lot. It's real interesting. But yeah, I think that kind of covers. It's kind of, I don't want to say a slow week for football, but nothing.
That's really all I can think of.
Considering the Calais Campbell to the Falcons, I like what the Falcons are doing.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
That's another thing that they're thinking Lamar to the Falcons because of that reason. Him and Campbell are real close, and
but I could see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. At this point, like I said,
that's the most realistic team for me at this point is the Falcons.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm ready to move on. We'll do a little baseball.
Yeah.
Opening day.
Yeah. I mean, we could fake that we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers again, but we're not because there's
nothing at this point. There's nothing to say. We're still negotiating. Pretty much the only thing that
do you want to know the first thing I turn every time at fucking noon when I turn ESPN on? It's Aaron fucking Rodgers, and I don't understand what we're still talking about.
I mean, really, at this point, it's just unless the deal doesn't happen before the draft, there's really nothing to talk about.
No.
I mean, at this point, they're just, I don't want to say, they're probably just posturing for a first round, second round compensation, somewhere around there, trying to figure it out.
It's Aaron Rodgers' fault, though. They're not getting the compensation.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep. So, opening day of baseball. There's been a lot that came out in baseball today.
Oh, yeah.
What a start to the season for the New York Mets.
Oh, we got Matt Harvey back. Did you see?
Yeah, I saw it. Matt Harvey's back.
Yeah, Matt Harvey's back. Guy's shoulder's fucked.
Wow. So, yeah, Verlander. I mean, was there any signs to this? Maybe I wasn't paying attention that closely to it the last couple weeks. Were they like, oh yeah, Verlander's not going to be ready?
His last spring training game, apparently his velocity was down 4 or 5 miles an hour, which doesn't mean anything particularly. He could have just been ramping down and not really caring about throwing as hard.
But because spring training.
Yeah, but if 4 or 5 miles an hour is a lot.
So yeah,
that's a big deal.
So he is diagnosed with, I'm going to absolutely butcher whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So I will call it a muscle strain near his pitching shoulder.
Okay, I like
is
that.
What he was diagnosed with. And basically him going backwards and him going side to side with his arm, little muscle tears. Muscle strain, whatever you want to call it.
And I don't know if there's any correlation or not, but these guys that get the Tommy John, you see any side effects or any ill effects 2, 3, 4 years down the road. It's not the first year after. The first year after, they generally look good, and it's the following years after that is where you start to see potential issues.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It all worries me. Obviously, 2014, Matt Harvey tears his I don't even know what tendon it is. Needs Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
2015 comes back and is an absolute stud. pitches in the postseason, brings them all the way to the fucking World Series, pitches the postseason of a lifetime, and then 2016 he can't throw a baseball anymore. And that pretty much ended his career.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that this is the same sort of case, but it's bringing back very reminiscent.
And the only
very reminiscent memories.
The only thing was apparently at some point today he said if this was the postseason he would probably pitch. However, they want him to throw moderately, medium intensity, whatever that means. Does that mean yeah?
Long toss.
Are you 50%? Where are you? I don't know. It's hard because he is 40.
Yeah.
I don't, and it's the Edwin Diaz out.
Cancel the WBC, by the way.
Jose Quintana, right? He's out too, right?
Yeah. Well, that guy's a fucking bum. I don't know why they picked him up anyways. I'm sorry. Quintana stinks.
And it's
he had one good year last year. I would never expect him to do anywhere near what he did last year. A sub 3 or a mid 3 ERA. Like, it's not going to happen.
And I will say for today, for being opening day, I watched a lot of baseball today, a lot more than I thought I was going to watch. Not mad about it.
It's because you're in the league.
Because I am now in the league.
You're now in the league.
Need all the help I can get.
You're in the fantasy league now. It's official.
You kind of start looking around the league, and I watched the. Let's see, what game did we start with? I've watched a lot today, so it's White Sox Astros.
Yep.
I watched. I looked at the Mets Marlins. I didn't watch it because it wasn't on for me here. Yep. Giants Yankees, I was flipping back on my phone. Braves Nationals. We got the Padres game on over here.
I watched a lot of the Rangers Phillies.
We had White Sox, and I can already tell you, and I'm sure you already, because we've talked about a little bit about this last year. There's a lot of teams that are loaded, and there's a lot of teams that are not loaded. Like watching today. You see the Washington Nationals, and you're like, wow, this is going to be a long season for them.
They've got some young kids that are coming up that are playing that might be potentially something good in the future. But
right. They got.
But there's not a single real vet on that team that you look and go, oh, that's going to be somebody that they're going to rally behind.
They started Corbin today with a 6.17 ERA last year. There's your opening day starter.
Well, when Strasburg's not healthy, that's the only other pitcher they have.
Right? They've got...
Corbin has been consistently probably, $150, $180 innings every year, but he's not good. But he got signed to a ton of money, leaving the Diamondbacks by them, and he's got to play.
Right, but, I'm just like throwing out there, like, you look at the Braves lineup, they are loaded. We look at the Phillies lineup. They are loaded. We looked at the Padres lineup. They are loaded.
I have two guys in the middle of the order on that lineup.
Right. So I guess basically my point was, like, these guys are going to be so top heavy. I don't know if you can fall behind. Like the Mets, they win today. I think that was a great opening day win. Obviously, obviously an extraordinarily long season.
The bullpen looked good. That's what the Mets are going to need to be able to do anything coming down the stretch here. Once you get to the end of the season, where crunch time, where it matters, it's going to be the bullpen because obviously you got the two-headed monster. If either of those guys are going to be healthy around that time, but then everything else behind that is kind of questionable.
Yeah,
you got Carrasco, you've got Senga, you've got Peterson, you got Miguel, you got Quintana, whoever the hell you want to throw back there.
Right.
But that bullpen's going to have to do a lot of work, I think.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, I know we're real early. Obviously, you're about as early as you could get. But, you just kind of look at the Mets. You look at the Braves.
Yeah.
You look at the Phillies. Even I was looking at the Cubs today. I'm like, oh, they might got something there. And, like, the Brewers, Brewers are always, like, that close. And then, obviously, you're going to have the Padres, the Dodgers. Even like the Giants, they were close last year.
Diamondbacks got a good young team.
Right, so it's like you get into it and it's like...
Blue Jays got a good lineup.
The Mets put all... I was just going on the National League because the Mets invested in Verlander. Said, hey, this is our guy. Not great start. Not a great start.
Him and Max Scherzer are tied for the two highest paid people in baseball, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they are.
At $42.3 million apiece.
A lot of money.
For
a lot of money.
For two guys that have a combined age of 30 or a combined average age of 39, I'd
right.
say.
And I mean, he did not pitch well today, but Jacob deGrom pitched. He threw today. I mean,
I think DeGrom's
the wheels come off. I mean, he hasn't pitched a full season in a while, but
I think DeGrom's realizing too that Texas is a hitter's park. The Mets park was not quite the same.
right.
I'm just putting that out there.
Right,
Texas Park is very friendly to right center field, to left field, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of generous to hitters out there.
Yeah, because I mean, in the last 3 seasons, he's only roughly started 36 games in the last 3 seasons. So it's been
a full season.
Right. So 2019 was the last time he pitched 30 games.
Mm-hmm.
But Verlander's already out. You know, like I know I'd say it's apples and apples, but you know.
The guy that I told this to you earlier, the guy I'm more upset about, he's currently, I think, the number 3 man for the Phillies, and Taijuan Walker.
Yeah.
I think that's the one I'm more upset that they let get away.
Just because you knew what you were going to get with him.
Walker will eat innings. He will give you 30 starts a year. He will give you three and some change ERA every year, and be a good 2-3 pitcher. I mean, a below average 2, I'd say above average 3.
Yeah, and just because I had it on earlier, we can go to the crosstown New York Yankees.
Bronx Bombers.
Judge sees 2 pitches, and he's like, yep. Leaving the park. All rise.
Yeah.
Thank you for bet. Shout out Harry. Harry got me in on that. Yankees though, like
everything else kind of looked dead. If they don't
Torres hit a 2-run home run.
If they don't hit home runs though, that team is not going to score any fucking runs this entire season.
I mean, DJ LeMahieu, 3 strikeouts today. 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Like Rizzo, this is a home run. What are you getting out of him? Stanton, it's only a matter of time before he falls apart, right? I mean, it's the...
I bet under his total of home runs this year. 31, I bet.
I think I texted you and I couldn't figure it out. Like, somehow Donaldson hasn't been arrested yet for grand theft.
Oh, grand larceny
of the New York Yankees.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, what are you getting out of him this year?
He's not even any good defensively anymore.
You kind of look at their lineup and you're like, okay, Torres, Judge, LeMahieu, maybe. Rizzo, I mean, you're betting Rizzo 3rd.
Yeah.
It's unless he hits a home run, obviously he provides...
He's a good glove at first base,
He provides good protection for Judge because you don't want to walk Judge because then this guy can go yard. He's got the short porch in right field. It is a threat, but I mean, it's Yankees pitching. Cole looked phenomenal today. Struck out the first 9 batters he faced. He was like, yep, sit down.
Speak of another pitcher who starting the season off real well for the Yankees, and Luis Severino.
Oh, Severino. Yep, he's already on the injured list. Yep. But the Yankees pitching does look good.
I think that's his position on the Yankees now, isn't it?
Right.
Injured list?
Yeah, injured list, yeah. Because, I mean, you're going to have, he was a number 4 starter. He was a real good number 4 starter. Yeah. A real good number 4 starter. But that's just, it's going to get interesting. And then, we could stay in the AL East because we had a guy with a record-setting day today. And you were like, oh, yeah, that kid's going to be real good.
I think he did pretty good.
From Baltimore, 5 for 5. What was it, Rushman? Rushman, is that the right way to pronounce it?
Yep.
I wanted him in the draft. I didn't know when to take him. And he's 5 for 5 for RBIs.
Oh, 5 for 5. You want to know what the other at-bat was?
And a home run.
No, the other at-bat that didn't get credited to that was a walk. So
yeah,
he's on base all 6 times. That's
number 2 hit.
That's kind of good. It's kind of good.
I've always felt like when the San Francisco Giants went on their big run with Buster Posey, it was like having an elite catcher makes such a difference because everybody else doesn't have an elite catcher.
I told you, I listed off 4 guys who I think are elite catching ability in this game right now.
Yep.
It's Rutschman, it's JT Realmuto for the Phillies, it's Will Smith of the Dodgers, and it's Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals.
Yep.
Those are your 4 guys. You've got your second tier of 5-6 guys after that, and everybody else doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I mean, it's there's that was a hell of a start for him.
Yeah.
Obviously can't start any better than that. I was just looking up to just while the last time So it was like 2021. Stanton had 140 games for the Yankees. And then back in 2018 where he played almost full season.
Yep.
And he's missed a lot of time.
Yep.
A lot of time.
Yep.
So I was just throwing it out there. The Yankees, I mean, they gotta have a lot of things go their way.
Oh, absolutely. I actually bet DeGrom's under for season total strikeouts and Giancarlo Stanton's under for home runs because I don't see either one of them being healthy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. And it's like I'm just throwing it. The Cubs looked like they actually put together a pretty solid little
Marcus
team
Stroman.
there.
Marcus Stroman's always kind of been a guy. Nobody really knew if he was going to be relevant this year.
Yeah.
I think the guy still got the ability to pitch, and we went out and saw it today against a not too shabby Brewers lineup.
No, not at all. I mean, the Cubs, they were relying on a couple reclamation projects. I mean, like Hosmer's probably going to be a pretty average first baseman this year, but all of a sudden, like you kind of look through and you're like,
they got Suzuki, they got Horner, they got Happ, you got
right. I mean, Cody Bellinger batted fourth today, 0 for 3, but
yeah.
I don't know what you're going to get out of him, but they signed him to a 1-year deal. Trey Mancini, you kind of look through it and you're like, okay,
Trey Mancini's a dude,
right? So you kind of look through and you're like, hey, the Cubs did a little bit where because your brother texted us and said, hey, which one of these teams are going to make the playoffs? And you and I we texted and we did a quick little thing. Like last year, the top 10 of the on-base percent, 10 out of 12 on-base percentage made the playoffs, 10 out of 12 ERA. So get on base and you pitch and you got a chance. And those are, that's a couple teams. I'm looking because they Cubs won 4-0 today. That was the thing.
Yep.
That was basically what I
over
was trying
over Corbin Burns, by the way. Corbin Burns, elite arm in this
Yep.
league, and
Yep.
got kind of roughed up.
Yep.
Day one, obviously, lots of time to get better, but still, kind of something I wasn't expecting.
No, and it's as we've seen, and the Toronto Blue Jays played the Cardinals 10-9. Those teams can score.
Oh yeah,
those teams can score, and I mean, obviously they're going to get their pitching straightened out, but I mean, like those teams. They're going to put up a lot of runs. Those teams are going to put up a lot of runs.
Yeah, that Blue Jays offensive lineup is deadly.
I mean,
their pitching staff is very suspect at best, though.
I mean, yeah, they got a couple.
You got Manoah, you got Gosman, who should be decent,
right?
But then other than that, you got Jose Barrios, who I suffered through that man all last year on my team.
Yep.
And he'd have 3 games where he'd get the mud hole stomped in him.
I mean,
and then he'd have 1 game where he'd come out and pitch lights out. And
just the Blue Jays 1, 2, 3 is Springer, Bichette, Guerrero Jr. Like that's
pretty good.
That's pretty good, right? Like you're at the.
Yeah, I think that's all right.
That's a good sign. Oh, we have a chatter here.
Oh.
From Nort underscore. Says hi, haha. Howdy, Nort. But yeah, so I mean, it's like I said, we got the. I don't know if there's anything else crazy that happened. White Sox, Astros, they got some talent. That's those are.
Fuck the Astros.
Sorry, I know you put some money on them today, but that's okay. Sorry, we'll get
the White Sox. The White Sox are such a weird team. The White Sox are like.
Oh, he says not ha ha, ja J-A-J-A.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
Especially since he's not Spanish, so that's great.
You know what? It's fine.
What was I going to say?
It's fine.
White Sox are going to be a weird team because Dylan Cease is real good. Their bullpen should be pretty good. They got a good number 2 pitcher. Number 3 is actually not bad either. Their team's just young, and it's a team full of guys that haven't been healthy. Really?
Right.
You got Moncada is great, not always healthy.
Yep.
Luis Robert, great, not always healthy. Tim Anderson, phenomenal, probably top 5 shortstop in baseball. Usually healthy. Last year was an exception for him, but they could have a little team going over there.
And do we? And it's your brother. He's screaming right now that we haven't talked about him yet. Otani.
Okay, yeah.
He's pitching tonight, and. He's using his own pitch comm now, so he kind of did it earlier.
Who? Oh, it's my sister.
Oh, so we love that.
Yeah, I thought it was her boyfriend. It's my sister.
Gotcha.
That's
why. That. With the pitch comm device underneath his jersey.
Oh.
Calling his own pitches this year, because apparently when he switched, Otani switched last year, His ERA dropped to whatever it was. So didn't know if that was worth discussing, but kind of wild. Yeah, it's kind of he's calling his own pitches this year.
Okay, I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Right, apparently him and let's see who they got. Ryan Taparera.
Oh, that's another Angels pitcher.
Another Angels pitcher. Those guys have it under their jerseys. They can call their own pitches. So
okay,
we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's see what else do we got. What else do we have?
That's up to where you're in the driver's seat. I'm here. I'm playing the music in the passenger seat.
You're playing the music in the passenger seat. Well, I'm good for baseball.
Yeah.
We want to make a switch.
I'm happy. Yeah.
Let's go to NBA quick because we talked a little about NBA. Well, first, Joel Embiid. Let's talk about Embiid because we did talk about him last time.
Goodbye. You forfeited the MVP. Goodbye.
How do you talk shit? How do you talk shit about Joker? You're like, bro, I'm the MVP. Just give me the crown now. I'll prove it tomorrow night. Well, I'm not going to prove it tomorrow night. But
you'll have to see in the finals.
You'll have to see in the finals because we're probably going to both make it. What was that? What was that? That was... I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna beat you up. I actually gotta go home first real quick. I got clothes in the dryer. They gotta come out.
All it reminds me of the Kevin Hart skit where he's like, I got the money for it, but it's in my savings. It's gonna take a couple days.
It's gonna take 25 business days to transfer.
Or maybe we'll switch it over.
Yeah, I love that.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're gonna talk shit and then just be like, yep, I'm out. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Embiid, go sit down. Go sit down. Give Joker the MVP.
That might have been the most Ben Simmons thing I think I've ever seen.
Who they shut down for the year.
Yep.
And that shut him down for the year.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I think JoJo over there, JoJo Embiid, just pulled the most Ben Simmons, straight out of Ben Simmons playbook.
It's just like, these guys, what are they doing? I don't understand. One, let's shout out the Sacramento Kings. First time in 16 years they made the playoff. Yep. I'm just saying something because last year you could make it if you're the top 10, so they couldn't even make it in that. They got themselves a little team though. I like that team.
What team or what? There's hold on because they were the longest drought in North American sports.
The Kings.
Yeah, of not making the playoffs.
Okay.
It was actually the Seattle Mariners before them. They broke that last year.
Yep.
Kings came back and did the same this year. There was I can't remember who the other team is, or what sport it was or anything like that. I believe it was football. Teams that hadn't made the postseason and had the longest drought in North American history, or sports history, not history. Current. I'm going to look that up as we're going here because it's going to bother me if I don't figure that out.
Okay.
But yeah, good. Yeah,
Kings, good job because we're getting close to the playoffs. It looks like Bucks are going to be the one. Bucks, Celtics, 1 seed in the East. But really, that's going to come to, Bucks, Celtics, 76ers. We talked about that the preseason before the season started. West Coast, the Nuggets are still first. Grizzlies are still looking good.
Yeah.
Even though John
Morant's lethal out there.
Whoa.
Yep. Whoa.
Hang on. Hey, guys, put the guns away. Please. Let the professionals hand that. But yeah, I don't, it's the Lakers are making a push. LeBron's back. They're still in the 8th seed. They got some room to go. But I think and I know we've been dying to talk about it, the Clippers.
Brody turned back the clock yesterday.
Turning it back.
That was fucking awesome.
And you know what? They've been playing very well.
Yeah.
You gave them props before the season, and I didn't. Westbrook. 36 points.
Yeah, and what? He had a bunch of assists or rebounds, one of the two?
He had, doesn't he have a bunch of everything?
No, he didn't have, one of them was only 4.
He had 10 assists.
Okay, and there was 4 rebounds then, I think.
And it's only 2 turnovers, which is obviously crazy for him, but it's why Leonard didn't play.
Yeah.
This guy's turning back the clock, and they're kind of starting to roll a little bit, and you figure when George and them actually play, I know that's kind of always been their thing, but they're pulling up. And then do you want to talk about your favorite diva, who they just dropped to number 11? We can still call them divas, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe. Actually, I don't know. They might be cancelable now.
So
Who knows?
Mavericks, who I think when they made the trade were the 5-6 seed around there, are now...
I think they were 3-4.
They're 3-4. They are now currently out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Boy, Kyrie,
Kardashian Irving.
What are we doing, Kyrie?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot for me. I don't even know.
Fix your hat. Fix your hat.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, yeah,
Perfect.
there it is.
Yeah, I didn't understand that experiment from the start because Luka's very suspect on defense.
Yeah.
Kyrie plays maybe above average defense when he wants to play defense. It's kind of a lot for me. I don't know.
I just feel like we went.
And they both play with the ball in their hand. You're not gonna like. That's why they're two of the same player.
This just didn't make any sense.
No,
they lost to the Hornets twice. Were not good. They have nobody on their team. Those are your boys. Those are my boys, but you went from one of the all-time historic great seasons from Luka to Kyrie Irving comes in, trademark Kyrie, blows your team up like it. I mean, they needed. Don't get me wrong, the Mavericks needed help.
This is more of a problem on the Mavericks than it is on Kyrie because this just shows that the Mavericks have not tried to make have not tried to help Luka whatsoever.
You're bringing basically a very similar player to him, and
yes.
It's like cool.
Yeah, it's I don't know, not great.
Not great, yeah, and it's just what a disaster from we were talking about an all-time great season.
Yeah,
from the Dallas from Luka
the
Don, and now it's like, oh man, they're so bad. Like,
yeah,
it's just.
They're hard to watch at this point.
It's just, it's brutal. It's brutal. And then, I mean...
What? Luka dropped 40, 12, and 8 last night, and they still fucking lost by 12?
And you still can't win. Like, you just can't... What are we doing? Like,
yeah.
I just don't understand.
Maybe if Jason Kidd wanted to play any sort of defense.
Right? I mean...
I think that's the only thing that could save them.
I mean, we're at this point, too, for basketball, where 2 weeks the playoff starts. Like, we're getting real close to the playoffs.
Oh,
yeah. Kevin Durant back, rolling. He's excited.
Yep.
And I just want to bring up the Golden State Warriors, too, just real quick. So they're up to the 6th seed, right? So they're out of the one-game playoff.
They're
now
playing all right down the
stretch.
One
of the craziest things, and we've monitored it, and we'll see what happens later. They are 31-8 at home, 9-29 on the road.
Yep.
For a team with 3 championships with their star players and they can't win on the road.
Yeah.
Hey.
6 seeds don't play at home very often either. I don't know if you found that out.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if they know, but...
Because, I mean, right now they do match up with the Kings, which is probably where Golden State would want to be, because you don't really want Grizzlies or Nuggets on the road.
No.
And you certainly don't want the Phoenix Suns, right?
No.
So...
You're going to be in a track meet with those Kings, though.
Yeah, that's going to be... They better get the oxygen tank out, right?
Yeah.
For those guys, but yeah, the West is kind of a little wild because you look at it, Nuggets, Grizzlies, then you got the Kings,
Suns.
I can see any of those guys making a run. I can see Warriors making a run again. Clippers, I mean, the Clippers... Their guys got to play. Like, their guys have to play and they have to consistently play, which they have not been able to figure out. Lakers, like, Timberwolves.
Lakers are only where they are because LeBron got hurt.
Right?
Sorry, not sorry, but...
I mean, LeBron just doesn't play defense anymore. Like, that's just kind of where he... Yeah. Pelicans, like, I don't think anybody wants to play them, but they still got to win 2 games to get in.
Yeah.
So...
I did find those other teams, by the way. There are 2 teams currently tied for the longest drought in North American sports.
No playoffs.
Yes, active.
Okay.
It is the Buffalo Sabres and the New York Football Jets.
Really? The Buffalo Sabres?
Yep.
How long? Does it say how long it was?
It was 11 seasons for both teams. Yeah, the Kings were at 16 seasons. 11 seasons for them. Next will be the Detroit Tigers and the LA Angels. 8 seasons apiece.
Huh. Angels. How do you have like two of the top 5 players? How do you have like two
Mike
of the
Trout
top?
might be one of the greatest players of all time.
Like what are
and
they?
I think they've had him for all 8 years.
I mean, you could make the argument that they have 1 and 2. You can make the argument they have 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 4.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Mike Trout's first season, his rookie season, was the only time he ever made the playoffs.
It's bonkers, right?
Yep.
Like that just doesn't make any sense. What are we doing? Yeah. Well, how do you? I just don't. It's fine.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I don't want to get worked up right now. That's not. I can't get worked up.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are with that.
Yeah. Well, do you want to move to the other basketball and get to the Final Four?
Yeah, let's do it up.
Let's do it up. One, the villains, Alabama. Goodbye, Alabama.
Get fucked.
Brandon Miller entering the NBA draft as expected.
Yeah.
Allegedly going to be a top 2-3 pick.
He probably will.
I mean,
I'd be out there with a pitchfork and a torch.
He's there 2 or 3. It's just it's
still wild to me. I still don't get it. It's fine. It's whatever. Right. I don't matter, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, and just like any other March Madness that we've ever had, there was not a single number 1 seed in the Elite 8 this year.
Oh yeah, let's trash your brother real quick.
He won't watch anyway.
Let's trash him real quick. After the 16 seed won, this happens all the time. The first year.
Yeah, this is the second year this has ever happened.
That was the second year that ever happened. It's never a 1 seed and a 2 seed never lost in the first round before till
this year.
No number 1s in the Elite 8.
Never happened until this year.
Never happened until this year. I mean, we kind of talked about it like before the tournament started. We were kind of like, you look through, you're like, man, I don't know. And we actually kind of talked ourselves out of Miami because they got handled by Duke, and we're like, oh man, Duke looks real good. Yeah. Miami looks real bad all of a sudden.
The only team that I ever talked about that I thought would make a good run in this tournament is UConn. I said it from the start. I said UConn is the best team in the Big East. I don't care about where they've been seeded. They are playing the best basketball, and they're going to play the most difficult basketball out of the Big East to be able to beat.
Yeah.
And here we are. Now they're the favorites.
But even
which they should be.
San Diego State beat Creighton, 5 and a 6 seed. I mean,
yeah.
Miami at least beat. I don't want to say at least. I don't want to talk like it was like the other ones don't count, but they beat Texas. Like,
Texas was real good.
Texas was a good team. Like UConn beat Gonzaga by a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like Florida Atlantic.
And apparently, the K-State coach after that game went into their locker room and said, "If you guys continue to play this way, nobody's beating you."
Yeah.
And that's coming from Kansas. Kansas State was one of the best Big Ten teams, if not the best Big Ten team.
But and I think I texted you. You and I were texting
Big
about
10, Big 12. I don't know which Big 12. I think
when Miami beat Houston.
Houston should never have been a number 1.
Purdue
should have never been a number 1.
Like I was saying to you, Houston was 33-4. They played 2 ranked teams all year. Beat 1, lost 1.
Uh-huh.
How do you get any sort of ranking out of them? Because they're beating the crap out of not good teams.
And I mean,
where do you go? You could say, hey, they're not a number 1 seed, but where do you put them then?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the problem with a lot of these things because you start looking around and Texas was 29-8. How do you put Texas ahead? You know what I mean? Like you start looking through and it's like you get in there, then you get into these tournaments where Houston's rolling and Houston's rolling and Houston's rolling, and they run into Miami who's pretty good all year. Miami's 28.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like you start looking at it, and then watching that game, I thought Miami was very clearly a better team. They were very clearly a better team. Creighton beat Princeton, 15 seed Princeton. I
was so sad to see them lose.
I know that was a fun ride. That was a fun ride with those guys.
But same thing with like a Gonzaga. Gonzaga has St. Mary's in their conference, and other than that, you look around and you go, who? But Gonzaga actually plays good, formidable basketball. Mark Few is a great coach over there. They've been one of the recent, in the last 10 years, they've been a blue blood.
Yeah.
So they actually show to be a team.
Right.
Houston, I don't know if Houston's ever made the Elite 8.
I don't know.
I can't think of a time that they made the Elite Eight.
Right, because and like the same thing too. Like for I'm just looking through Gonzaga for ranked teams they played. They played Texas. They lost to Texas. Lost to Purdue. Beat Kentucky when Kentucky was the 4 seed. For number 4. Lost to Baylor. Beat Alabama. Yeah. Alabama for a good while was the best team in the country. You know they lose to St. Mary's. They beat St. Mary's and they beat St. Mary's again. Yeah. So they only played 6 ranked teams and they kind of split them. Yeah. So you're like,
yeah, I don't know.
You know, like that's the problem is like a lot of the teams they're not battle. I don't want to say battle tested, call it whatever you want to call it, but these teams are getting into these tournaments and then you're like, oh wow, like I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, no,
you know, and it's I mean like UConn, like they had flashes that they were going to be pretty good, but again they were 29-8, so that's a lot to go into. Yeah.
So I just looked up just for my own humoring here. So Houston has made the tournament, let's see, 24 times. And they have made it to the Elite Eight 7.
Okay.
But if they've made it to the Elite Eight, generally they make it to the Final Four because they've made it to the Final Four 6 times. Okay. Runners-up twice. The 2 runners-up were in the 80s. They've been back-to-back. They had been back-to-back years in the Elite Eight. But, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to... Because they've never won a title. Yeah. And their level of competition that they seem to play every year just baffles me. How they still manage to get in and get the seeds that they get.
Right. I mean, I will say, like, what's it say about the Big East? The Big East was actually pretty good this year. Like, but you kind of looked at it like UConn was 4 at 13-7. Like, yeah. Marquette was 1. You know, they were 17-3.
No, Marquette was 2.
They ended up 2.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm not looking at this right, but it doesn't matter. I mean, because you have Marquette, Xavier, Creighton, UConn. Yeah. So, you know...
Xavier was a 3, I believe.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I meant they were first in the Big East.
Oh, yes, I said.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Sure enough. But, yeah, so, I mean, like, the Big East actually was pretty good, but until you got to the... but they all played really well. Yeah. But now it's like... So
the Big East plays a lot of the same brand of basketball, too, though.
Yep. And so now we have San Diego State, UConn, Miami... Atlantic?
Yeah. What do they call them? They've been calling them the Beach Boys, I think.
Is that what? Yeah.
They've been calling them the Beach Boys. I fucking love that.
It Florida Atlantic Owls.
Yes.
But you know,
I don't know how many owls I'm seeing in the Florida Atlantic, but
I'm telling you, you know what though? Like I watched the game against Kansas State. I watched the game against Tennessee.
They played well.
And you kind of
Tennessee. I don't know if I really count Tennessee because Tennessee could have either beat anybody in the country or lost to anybody in the country. That's the way they played all year long. But like, Kansas State was a legit team.
And I was watching them play, and I'm like, wow, man, these guys are real good. They're real athletic. Like
they shoot the 3 ball really well.
But again, these guys are, and I'm going to throw them in the same category. Their season record, 35-3.
Yeah.
But you look at who they played.
I know, but
they actually, I'm looking at it right now, I just scrolled through, they did not play a single ranked team all season until the tournament.
The only thing that I've been hearing some of these college basketball pundits say and things like that, they're like, well, if you win 35 games, you still won 35 games.
Right.
And I get, to an extent, I understand that, but you can't tell me, like, if there was anybody who wasn't just a pure homer of Florida Atlantic that said they were going to go to the Final Four this year, you are joking yourself.
You're out of your damn mind.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. It's a cool story. It's a great story.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a great story.
And I think it's just one of those things where you don't play ranked teams. How you can't subjectively put them in, especially, I think, in a season, much to Sean doesn't know what he's talking about, is you look through and you're like, oh, yeah, this is normal. It's like, this was not a normal season. You didn't really have any top tier, like Alabama was the closest thing to a superstar tier, but
they were putting Houston at number 2 behind them.
Right.
Like no.
Like it's not like the years. I feel like it's not like years past where you look at some of these guys and you're like, wow,
Gonzaga's loaded. Or, right. This North Carolina team's incredible.
Right. Kentucky's loaded. Kansas is loaded. I mean, even Kansas, like they were like pretty good this year, but you watched them play and you're like,
They were, I think they got a handful of losses from the SEC over there.
Watching Purdue, like they looked like they were in slow motion. They didn't look like they were even like. If you had watched that game and said these guys are a 1 seed, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, I would have laughed at you. I would have laughed at you.
No way, absolutely not. I can't see the time, so I have no idea where we are.
We were at about 50 minutes here.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're pretty close then. Yeah. So yeah, either way, Saturday is the final. Final four. Yeah. Final four.
I don't even know. Miami game's going to be good.
I am so excited for UConn Miami. I'm not going to watch it because WrestleMania. Sorry, but I got to watch WrestleMania. But like San Diego State,
guy's a pro wrestler.
I mean, San Diego State. I mean, Florida Atlantic. That's going to be a good game too. I think those are super athletic teams. Like when I watch,
you're not going to get the same viewership that you are just because it's a 5 and a 9.
Right? Yeah, 5 and a 9. And it's
6 and a 9. I don't even know.
5 and 9, but I mean it's San Diego State. Like if the 5 and the 9 was like North Carolina and somebody else, you're gonna get the viewership. But I mean, but that should be a really good game. But I think Miami UConn is going to be
that game is going to be so good.
Absolutely,
Miami is playing phenomenal basketball right now, and it's like we said, that Texas team was real deal.
Oh yeah, they were a good team.
Superstar talent on that team. That I can't even think of what the kid's name is. His last name is Carr, number 5 there. Kid's a stud. Kid was a legit stud.
So we have time. We started this out last week.
Yeah, and then our Chef Boyardee intern
came in and rudely interrupted. Rudely.
God, it wasn't open. Like we were supposed to be open. Stop. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. Pride night.
Yeah.
Pride night in NHL. Since we discussed this last week, Gary Bettman, the commissioner.
I don't even know what he said.
He basically came out and said, and it's just, basically said NHL created its own nightmare mess with Pride night. Basically is what he said.
That sounds very much like a Rob.
But his thing was, for me personally, obviously being out there and wearing the jerseys and kind of enjoying and embracing a night like tonight. We only have so many of these nights throughout the season, whether it's military or hockey fights cancer night or whatever. That was Matt Tkachuk of the Florida Panthers.
It's not a good look.
You know, and it's just and
it's not a good look. I don't know.
You know, and then and part of it too, like we saw it. Christian NHL brothers Eric and Mark Stahl refused to ride it ask for respect. So that kind of throws a lot of things into the loop, because before it was the Russian players aren't wearing it because they're screwing it up. Russian players, their families are in danger if they wear it. Was the original blame Russia's anti-gay laws, which is what the Chicago Blackhawks did. The Dallas Stars, the Seattle Kraken, and the LA Kings all wore them. What are we doing?
Yeah, and at that point, honestly, the fact that you had, we'll say, a third of these teams or whatever that completely complied and wore these jerseys, and everybody else, that made you look worse.
Yeah, because there's a guy, I'm going to butcher his name, Labushkin, I believe is what it is, from the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, Hammy would be pissed at you.
Hamston, I'm sorry. He wouldn't wear it. Says Russia was his excuse. Why did you not wear it? Russia. Cool. So
it seems like such a lame excuse. I'm sorry.
But I don't know. I get
one. I don't understand. I don't understand these religions' viewpoints on how this is such a terrible thing. Everybody's supposed to be like. Religions are all about second chances and all these other things like this, and then there's religions that you can't like a dude if you're a dude,
right?
What happened? Who hurt you? I think I said that last week, but who hurt you?
And
it's
you
mind-boggling.
You can get into such splitting hairs too, because
oh boy, Corona did a 3-run bomb.
Oh no! off Snellzilla.
Yeah.
But not to be splitting hairs, but again, like he said, it's like You can wear a military jersey in the NHL. Nobody's not going to wear that. And it's like, okay,
but you're from Russia.
You're from Russia. You're from Canada. You're from the U.S. Pick everything about every country that's involved in hockey.
And you're wearing an American U.S. jersey.
You're American, yeah. And if somebody sponsors it, you're wearing that jersey. You're like, hey, we're getting our cash money.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the stuff like this happens because you're going to do Pride Night. And I think that's absolutely phenomenal. I think it's great. I love it. I think hockey's the last sport. I don't want to say the last sport, but NFL players have come out, right? Come out. Cool.
I don't know if baseball.
I don't know if baseball has, but I mean, I don't think anybody cares. Like, I don't want to say because it's, but like hockey's really kind of the one where you're like, Russia's involved, and you have all these other countries involved. Where I don't want to say you kind of are like, oh, it's hockey, but that's always like the excuse. Oh, it's just got boys being boys. We'll call it whatever you want to call it. If you do this, you have to go to the players' union. Say, hey, this is what we're doing.
Will it work?
Well, is this going to work? Because if one guy sits out, and honestly, like I think the guy Ivan Provorov from the Flyers started it. He just didn't come out for warm-ups.
Okay.
I
guess.
I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just saying, but then it's like.
I mean, I feel like that's if you're gonna refuse it, I feel like it's a better way.
Right. So that was the start,
I don't know.
And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Yeah, we're not doing it. Russia's bad." The Stahl brothers, "Hey, we're Christian. We're not doing it." So like all of a sudden, all these excuses just started flying out, and it's like, and then Gary Bettman's like, "Oh no, how could this happen?" And it's like, what do you mean how? Because this is the. Talking about the Bears, like this is the first time we experienced that. I think it's something that we're going to have to evaluate in the off season, which means they're not doing it next year.
That's like plugging in a hairdryer, throwing it in the bathtub, and killing somebody. Oh no! How did this happen?
Right? Yeah, and it's just man. I don't know. I just don't know where we're going with this.
Like nothing for nothing. We're all supposed to be about inclusion and all this stuff. NASCAR just got flamed 2 years ago or whatever it was for not being not including enough.
Right.
I don't even know what term I'm supposed to be using at this point.
Right. Call it whatever you want to call it. Like I'm not here to be like politically correct about it. I'm just.
But like, so a sport like that gets absolutely torched.
Yeah.
For not having enough because African American viewership, black viewership, whatever word I'm supposed to be using here.
Right.
And right now, and then the hockey just goes
And I will say one of the
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just because I'm involved in it. Obviously, I'm a big pro wrestling fan, but that's always kind of been on everybody's like, they're a certain way. Pro wrestling fans are a certain way. Finn Balor, he came out and he wore his thing. Wrestling's for everybody, and it's it was very clear. WWE promoted it, and they're like, hey. We're not ashamed. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. Like, we're
especially if it's something that he really wanted to push.
Right, and that was something that he wanted to push. And I mean,
he's a superstar, but he's not like
Headliner.
headliner.
Where do you go here from hockey? Because now all of a sudden, a handful of players are like, hey, we're not doing it, and Gary Bettman's like, yeah, Pride Night's done. This is our fault. We shouldn't have made people just like, well, hang on. There's obviously bigger issues here. And I don't know, for me it was super disappointing because I am a massive hockey fan. I have not been a hockey fan lately because I can't watch the games anywhere. Fix that, please, if you want us to watch again. As I kind of laugh because I saw all the things today about, I'm not watching baseball because they put the pitch clock, whatever. I wish you can watch it if you want to watch it. Like, man, I want to watch hockey and I can't see shit for hockey.
Yeah. You go down the road here to the Odd and watch the fucking Comets.
Right, yeah, pretty much at this point. So, I don't know because if it really looks like the NHL is backing down and they're going to say, hey, we're done. Like, this is... Whew. And I just don't know if that's the right... I don't think that's the... right, because... Oh, and then... I'm sorry, Luke Prokop, I believe is, if I say it wrong, please forgive me. Is a gay prospect for the Predators. He is openly gay. Okay. He is a prospect.
Wow. Okay.
And he says that this is a major step back 1 week ago. It must have been right around when we did it. It looked like this article was posted right after Eric and Mark Stahl were like, hey, we're not doing it.
Yep.
But so now it's like, yeah. So we talked about, we were like, is there any players that are out? He is out. Yeah. I don't know. You hate to see it. That's it. Yeah, I think the NHL backing down is a shame, and they should be embarrassed.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can't you may as well. They may as well have been camping, and you were in a tent, and they just said, "Yep, fucking put you right in the bag, folded. You're all done. You folded." I
just don't know how you force. I don't want to say force because I don't know what the rules are, the player association, whatever. Yeah. How do you force someone? Hey, you have to wear your military jersey. You have to wear this. You have to wear this. You have to wear this. And a handful of guys are like, hey, I'm not comfortable wearing the Pride jersey. Okay, cool. You're out. We're done. We're never doing it again. It's like,
yeah,
that's all it takes.
Uh-huh.
What if you do? Could you imagine if they did a military night and they're like, hey, we're not wearing the jersey, right? Like I don't believe, my country doesn't believe in it. There'd be a revolution in the league.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I'm not saying these are apples to apples, but at the same time, like, don't back down in NHL. Like,
no.
I think if people want to sit out, that's one thing. But I don't think you should scrap the whole thing.
No,
I mean
such a bad
because
look.
Honestly too, like I'm not from Russia. I can't be like, hey, make
them
make the Russians wear. Like I'm not. I get it. If you got family and stuff that you're trying to like, I get it. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a really if the NHL doesn't do this next year, it's a lot. I think that's a lot, right? Like,
and guess what? And if it's not talked about on like these major sports channels and things like that they scrapped the idea and it's all done and they're not doing it next year.
I mean,
that's going to be a lot.
So I typed in here on the Google, NHL Pride controversy. Let's see, Yahoo Sports is the first one that comes up. Then it's WIVS Sports. I guess that's a Buffalo, maybe a
Wheels?
Buffalo one. Yeah, I think it's Wheels. Outsports covered it, right?
Okay.
Which
more under the Yahoo category.
I think, shout out Outsports. I was actually on an article for that. Not for, obviously, but it's for pro wrestling. My man Denham, when him and I won the tag titles, he was on there. Yeah, it was actually really cool. I was really excited for him. But then it's Complex Sports, Global News, Oof, yeah, and then you hit CBS Sports, New York Post, so Spectrum News. So like when you look at this, this is hard to find. Like this is not an easy to find articles where LeBron changes his shoelaces during the game, and you're going to get 8 articles on ESPN. And
he was using Adidas shoelaces on Nike shoes.
Right, and Skip Bayless has already tweeted about it 6 times, and it hasn't happened yet. Like that's where we are with it. I don't know.
But he watches the games. That's how he knows it's going to happen.
He watches the games, yeah. So I don't know. I know we wanted to talk about it last week, and I was like, I kind of like thought about it, and I was like, let's see what happens. And then Gary Bettman 3 days ago kind of insinuated they're going to back down from that.
I don't like that.
And
I don't like that.
Yeah. So I think that's all we got for time.
Yep.
Till next time. Hopefully there'll be more on that. Right. Hopefully more on that. Don't cancel NHL. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Till next time, Adam Stone.
Josh Burnett.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.